everyone. Welcome to Political Hub 101. I am your host, Evan Hunt. And today we have a very important event. The vice presidential debate between Jackson Hitchcock of the Independent's running mate, Andrew Dominguez, versus my Democratic nominee, Mayowa Olabode's running mate, Terrell McCann, and chairman. Give it up for Terrell McCann Jr.
It's also a former VP.
Where, Terrell?
Evan, he isn't nominee yet.
There's no one else running.
He's a nominee.
He's not the nominee.
Yeah, there's no nominee right now, technically. But anyway.
All right, well, we also are joined by our moderators. And I am joined by Sam Martinez. Woo! Sam Martinez. Woo!
Senator, Chairman Emeritus, Yum.
And I'm joined by D5 Representative-elect Jonathan Lamprost. Woo!
Jonathan is not on my birth certificate.
We need new people in Congress. What?
Okay. In full disclosure, his birth certificate says he's Deborah.
Lastly, I'm joined by D1 Representative, or D2 currently about to be D1. Give it up for Jacob Tawney!
I miss this fucking nigger. This nigger bitch.
Oh my god!
Jacob, do that again, I kick you. Alright, now we will start with our first question. Now, my first question.
Do we get opening statements?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Andrew, you may start.
So as I started my D2 House debate, Jackson and I not running.
I need to lay down the rules. Sorry, 2 minutes for opening statements, 30 seconds for 2 rebuttals, and you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer questions. Andrew, you may continue.
Okay, so as I started my debate, we are not, as you know, any political party. We even independents, we are Americans who feel that we have to put our country forward. We have to put it back on track. We have to move on. We have to break the partisanship, and we have to make our people more free, our country with better values. As we've said, liberty, freedom, and we want to put on make society improve with the new ideas that will come of hopefully our administration. We're not going to win. But I feel what we are doing is good for the Americans, and that's the reason why we are running. We feel that we have to contribute more. We can contribute, and we will if we get there. Thank you.
That was a great opening statement. Let's give it up for Mr. Dominguez. Now on to...
No, it was not.
Now let's go on to Mr. Terrell McCann Jr.
Former VP, former D7 representative, former DNC vice chairman, and current DNC chairman. Hello, everyone. I am, as you know, former Vice President Terrell McCann, and I want to thank you all for joining this debate. I want to thank Andrew for debating me. I want to thank John. I want to thank Evan. I want to thank Jacob, and I want to thank Sam for all help moderate this great debate. You know, when I was chosen to be Mayor Olabode's VP, I was actually stunned. Because I did not think that anyone wanted me to be on a ticket for VP, considering that I was VP a while back when Janeth Karturi was president. So, you know, when that happened, I was stunned, and I accepted it, and I'm glad I did. You know, Mayor Olabode is someone who a lot of people say he's progressive, which he is, and a lot of people, you know, say that the progressive values dominate the Democratic Party. But I'm going to say this: Mayor Olabode's running to make a difference in America. He's not satisfied with the current administration. He does not like the work that they're doing right now, and he feels that if he's elected, that he can do a better job than them. But I'm going to say this: I'm neutral on this administration. They have room for improvement. I'm in the middle because I haven't seen a lot of good things, but I haven't seen a lot of bad things either. So to furthermore say, to end out my closing statement, I hope that we have a very productive debate. We're going to debate the issues facing our country, and I want you all to remember this: that forward is the tool of the Oliver McCann campaign. Thank you.
You were 1 second from 2 minutes. Now I will be asking the first question. Mr. Dominguez, my question to you is: being the vice
I
president.
went first in the opening
Yeah,
statement.
why does Andrew go twice?
Okay, fine. Mr. McCann Jr. Now, my first question to you and Mr. Dominguez both. Now, being the vice president, you have to be the tie-breaking vote in the Senate, and there's poised to be many contentious decisions. Now, how will you side? And do you believe that you have an automatic bias towards your party, and how do you pledge to have an open mind if you pledge to have an open mind? Mr. McCann Jr., you may go first.
Well, let's talk about this. I cannot count. I don't recall how many tiebreakers I did when I was vice president before. But I can say that when I made my decisions in terms of, I believe it was confirmation hearings, that I mainly had to do a tie-breaking vote. I went based off of how they performed in their confirmation hearing. As you all know, the vice president is allowed to be in the confirmation hearing, but they are not allowed to talk during the confirmation hearing. So when that happened, I was sitting there, and whoever it was, I went based off of how they performed, how do they stand on this issue, and basically that's an issue. Of course, it's going to be an issue pertaining to what they were nominated for. Now, in terms of tiebreaking vote, in terms of bills, I don't go in terms of automatic bias. I don't have automatic bias towards my party. I go based off of if it's a good bill, and I go based off of the details and also how well it is written, and what is the purpose of the bill. So in terms of that, it's not about, I don't have automatic bias towards my party. That's not what I do. But instead, what I do is ensure that I am making good decisions based off of how they perform, how well the bill is.
I'm gonna have to cut you off. It's been over 1 minute. And Jacob, shut up. Oh, you made it even worse by cursing.
Wait, is Sam coming back?
Oh crap!
No. Wait, Sam's gonna be back.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know. Hasn't even been on. He's never hasn't texted me.
Well,
so.
no, he's like.
All right, Mr. Dominguez, it's your turn to speak now.
Okay, so
I'm
we
sorry.
say- what the okay. So this is a huge job. This is part of the being a responsibility of being a vice president. So I believe we need based off a good judgment to decide about this. And well, the one who knows me will know my ideals, that I'm basically moderate or centrist, if you could tell. But again, I go by my ideals, I go by the arguments, I go by, yeah, I mean, I'm not biased for my party. I believe I will judge about what I think is best for Americans. And that goes on with my ideas, with my comprehension of understanding of American issues, American problems we face today. And that's how I basically will make my tie-breaking vote. Now I will evaluate also if it's a confirmation hearing, the person's record, like try to see the pros and cons, if he has okay.
Thank you for that. We have to move on now. That was over. Remember? Oh wait, never mind. Are you done?
So that basically killed my answer. Thanks, Evan. So yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think. Never mind. Come on.
No, you guys. Okay, yeah.
Well, I just feel that it's. I just feel that I don't know if Mr. Dominguez would agree here, but I feel that the candidates, we as candidates, should at least get 2 minutes to answer the question.
Does everyone
Yeah,
agree?
2 minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll extend it to 2 minutes. It's currently 1 minute and 30 seconds. All right, Mr. Dominguez, you want to continue?
No, thank you.
All right. Any rebuttals?
I have
I'm just gonna say you can factor a person's background into it, but really, the reason why I personally would not factor in their background is because of the fact that it goes based off of the answers that they give and how well you think that they are able to do the job. Now you can put a person's background into it, but is it going to align with the position that they were nominated for? Probably not. Especially if that person has not served one term in Congress.
May I have a small rebuttal? Well, Terrell, I think the background is more important than you think because your background determines if you're ready to that position and if you have done things related to it and you have repeatedly showed that you know about it, your knowledge about the specific issue. Per se, foreign policy. Okay, you're good at foreign policy. You have shown that for your entire career, and you get picked to Secretary of State. That's how I think background plays in. It's more important probably than you think, but I also evaluate the answers he gave at the hearing.
Can I just ask you a question, Mr. Dominguez? So, what if this person does not have a background in any form of in any position that they're nominated for? How do you then make your decision?
I said I also evaluate about the answers he gives in the confirmation hearing.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know because we can't. I just wanted to say this. Um, you know, Again, I would go based off of the answers that they give. If they don't have a record, because if they don't have a record, I'm not going to be able to reference what they've done in the past to what they're nominated for. That's why I asked you that question, Mr. Dominguez.
Yes, but Mr. McCann, you see, if the person does not have any sort of background, I don't understand why he's being nominated for that position. So that sort of factors in as well.
Well, I mean, you can say that they don't have any type of. So you go based off of also experience.
Yep.
Okay, so all right. Well, with the experience, if we're going to play the experience factor into it, I'm pretty sure majority of the people that probably would be nominated do have experience. And for those who don't have any experience, then you just said that why are they being nominated for the position? Maybe the president feels that that person is able to carry out the duties of office. If president does this, personally, what I would do, as well as if we're elected, what I would do is make sure that we're sitting down and have interviewing the person that we're going to be nominating, so we can ensure that this person has the knowledge about the thing they're being nominated for.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree, Mr. Dominguez?
Yeah, I agree. And I think also the confirmation hearing is the key point to start someone's career also.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be as well.
All right. So in all, in terms of experience, we pretty much agree.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Mr. Lampros, would you like to ask the next question?
Yes. Okay. This is gonna be to Andrew. What can you say to progressives that are worried that your ticket is too conservative?
What? Repeat the question,
Okay,
please.
what can you say to progressives that even though your ticket's too conservative, why they should vote for you? Your ticket.
Okay, wait a second. Because I think the ideology, the name, it's a name. It's not the description of a person. It's about the values you share, your common ideas, you agree the problems America has, and you agree in the solution. You agree in the pathway to improve our country. So that's why I think it's more important than ideology. Because, for example, my election, or in anyone's election, it got supported by progressives and conservatives, not because I'm a moderate. Okay, they should not vote for me because I have differing ideas. No, we plan a America for all. And America for all is not an America divided by progressive, liberal, conservative, centrist, libertarian. It's no, an America for all is a united America, the United States of America, an America that can rely on any other person. Okay, any other person, no matter the ideology, and an America that shares common values that can be together, to stand together.
Okay, similar question goes to Terrell. Just flip the conservative and the progressive part.
So the question is, what do we have to say to
What do you have to say to the other side? Even though
to the conservatives that feel that our ticket is too progressive?
Yes.
Well, I pretty much am in agreement with Mr. Dominguez here. You know, when we're talking about ideology, that's basically, what their value is, what they value. And as you said, ideology does not define a person. What I have to say to the conservatives is that, hey, you know, if you feel that something is not, right, which if you're in a different political ideology than another person, of course they're not going to feel it's right. They're going to feel that their method is correct. So what I'm going to say is work with us because we have this. Work with us. If you work with us, see, in the United States, it's all about working together. If you do not work together, you will not be able to succeed. Don't think you can go it alone because you can't. But here's what we have to do. If progressives and conservatives and liberals and moderates and everyone that's, different ideologies from everyone else, if we come together and we come up with an action plan for whatever we're speaking about, then that would be great. So, our ticket, I'm liberal. I'm leaning more moderate because of some of my stances. Um, you know, you basically have to look at the plan that a person or candidate has laid out. And then you have to go based off that plan and then ask questions. That's why I encourage you all that, when town halls happen for candidates, that you ask questions that regard to their policy on any particular policy issue. So that's what I have to say. Conservatives, work with us. And to anyone that differs from us, that you work with us so that we can formulate a plan and make sure that we are successful in the near future.
Hello, my name is Colin from Conflict with Channel. How are you doing today? Okay, John, would you like to...
Excuse me, please do not mute me.
John, would you like to ask the next...
Excuse me, please do not mute me.
Get him out of here.
John, you may ask the next question.
Well, okay, thanks.
You're cutting out. Speak better.
I am the new co-moderator.
Stop saying speak better.
Shut up, Logan.
Whoa, I have First Amendment rights.
You have a First Amendment right. Now please shut up and let John answer.
It's a mean word. We don't like mean words on Mac.
Bye-bye. John, you may ask your question.
Okay.
He's gonna join back with his
So,
alt cousin.
Exactly.
Guys asked, so there's a possible chance I may repeat in a question you may have answered. So, as vice president, what would you do to assist the president on issues that many of the public people's opinions don't agree with, and how can you change people's opinion between the president's decision? The question goes to
Who does the question go to first?
It would probably go to
you.
Okay, he said me. Did you say me or Andrew, John?
you. He said you.
Okay. So first off, how I would advise the president on an issue that the people don't necessarily agree with. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, first off, I go based off listening to the people. If the president's in a time where, he needs some advising, which all the time when they're making, decisions in terms of policy.
This is what happens when you remove me. I come back with alts, all right? So you better stop removing me.
Woo, Tom!
Tom, hey, buddy. Just so you know, this is on live, so now we have video proof that Tom Steyer is your alt. P.S. Bye-bye.
No, it's my pet.
Okay, I ask that non-candidates be muted or their volume be turned down so that
John also
so that the candidates can give responses without being cut off, because that is not what we do in debate.
If Logan doesn't come back, we're good.
He's gonna come back with more alts, so just letting you know.
I'll just kick them when they come.
So to furthermore say, before I was rudely interrupted, if the president's, here we go.
Okay, they're not my alts. I just know their passwords, okay? They're my pets and my passwords.
Okay. Let me finish this up before I'm rudely interrupted again. I'm going to listen to the people. If the people say that, hey, the decision the president will make, we don't like, I'm going to go to the president. I'm going to advise him. I say, hey, the people don't feel that this decision is right. The president can see that himself. And then I propose whatever idea that I have to him. And then, we go based off that. So it's basically a dialogue between, the administration and the people, because that's what we need more of. That's called being transparent.
Oh, good. Why don't you let me in the call? Like, you keep kicking me. I don't understand what's going on,
Because you're rudely interrupting the candidate. Now,
this is a debate? I didn't know that. You should make that more clear. Okay, I'll stop talking.
Thank you. Mr. Dominguez, you may proceed.
I'm going to finish off here. I'm going to finish off.
Are you Mr. Dominguez? No, you're not. You're Mr. Terrell.
In case I'm interrupted once again, because I did not finish my response before you came into the to this call, cutting us off. So to finish off saying a dialogue between the administration and the people would work. That's how we go based off of the vice president advising the president on tough issues.
Are you done?
Okay. Yeah. So, first of all, when the people disagree, they will make themselves. Here, the president will know when people disagree. So I believe that this is how democracy works, and the people must be heard. It's not an option; it's a must. You have to. So if this opinion of the people has to get through me, so the president thinks different, I will advise the president. I will tell him, okay, see what the people are saying. You were elected by them. I was.
Logan, do that again, and you will never be coming to a debate again.
Okay, so I would be telling the president they disagree. Let's look at their opinions. Let's look if they're right. Let's step on their shoes and let's see what they think. Why is reasoning? What's their judgment? And let's see if their solution may be better.
Step on their shoes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, It doesn't matter, Evan. So.
Who just muted me? Why step on their shoes when you can step on their bare feet?
Okay.
Okay, should I kick this? Last chance, and I will kick you, and I will kick every alt. Please.
Kick him now before he kicks you. So what I was saying was that we need to get the reasoning of the people. Why do they think that way? And we need to look at what they're looking, their image they have for a future for us. And again, if it gets through me, if I have to do it, I will.
Any rebuttals? I'm gonna take that as a no.
I have it's not so much a rebuttal, but to add on with the lost time that I had when I was being interrupted. Listening to the people is key. Again, if you can't listen to the people, or if you don't listen to the people, then obviously you can't serve in a high position as far as president of the United States. You have to listen to the people. You have to take their opinions into mind, and you have to go. You sometimes. You're going to make decisions. I'm going to say this. You're going to make decisions that you're not going to be. You're going to make decisions that the people will not necessarily agree with. But at least you had the audacity to listen to them. And that's one of the great things we have. If you listen to them, hey, you don't always, you can take the suggestion. You don't always have to follow that plan, but as long as you're listening to the people, and that's very, very important to something and a key, decision making.
All right, Mr. Tawny, you may ask a question.
Yes.
Excuse me, it's my turn to ask a question. Said this is violating free speech.
Please kick them out, Evan. Thank you.
Evan told.
It's a personal recommendation before they kick you. Thank you. So what I believe about this idea, it may be pretty controversial. John, you and I were talking about that today. First of all, I believe the Supreme Court would be much more trustworthy to replace the AC. What I believe, most people won't agree with my point of view, but if you check very carefully, you will see that the AC acts sort of a SCOTUS, as we don't have one. But I think that would be much reliable because we can see that they are first of all, they're killing new MOD councils and creating a new one constantly. It will be a vicious cycle because they will commit a mistake and again. Second of all, people complain of their members. But if this is the Supreme Court, it will be checked by the Senate, which means it will require much competence to get there and approval by a legislative body, which is checks and balances. So I believe a Supreme Court as AC could be a good idea, more reliable definitely than the current system we have today. Thank you.
So I believe the question was, what do I think about the AC transforming themselves into the Supreme Court? Well, I'm going to say this in judicial system. Or as you know, in the United States of America, Supreme Court justices are nominated by the president. And obviously, as far as that goes, I believe that if we should keep that tradition, that um, the president should go ahead and continue to nominate people instead of a body turning themselves into the Supreme Court. Because if you do that, that's not the way that the system works. You have to go through. You have to be nominated first off. But if you're going to do that, at least you have to go through a confirmation hearing. Then the Senate will decide if you're worthy enough to hold the title of, Supreme Court Justice. That's my real opinion on it. If you're going to at least do that, at least make sure that you're having a confirmation hearing. But if you don't have a confirmation hearing, then I don't think that you should be doing that. So make sure that if you're going to do it, have a confirmation hearing. Make sure the Senate decides if you're deemed worthy enough to be a Supreme Court justice, as they do any other person that's being nominated for a cabinet position. As you all know, each and every cabinet member goes through a confirmation hearing. They have to go through a confirmation hearing to get where they are at that present time, as well as everybody else that is nominated or in some form of judicial system. They have to be confirmed by the United States Senate, and that's technically, if you don't do that, it's a form of breaking the system. Confirmation, and then you move on from there. So any form of, no matter if it's moving to an immediate vote or if it's just simply sitting down having a confirmation hearing, you need to have some form of confirmation process so that it would be the Senate can deem you worthy enough to hold that title.
Any rebuttals? All right, I will ask the next question. Unless a candidate has a rebuttal. All right, my question.
Evan, John Ossoff is speaking.
Yeah, he blocked. Accidentally, so I don't think he will be able to participate unless he gives me.
He was speaking. He was speaking. You probably can't hear him because he blocked you, but he was speaking.
Okay, what is he saying? Is he asking a question?
You are speaking, John.
All right, John, you may go. Who is Jesus Christ? Who on?
All right, Evan, he's finished.
All right. Who went last time?
I believe it was Andrew.
All right.
Who went on this question?
Yeah, by one first on the AC question.
All right. Okay, so Terrell. All right. Whoever went last, the question before.
So, the question is about the Senate hearings. Oh. Okay.
Evan.
Terrell, you may go first.
Okay, so to the Senate, I will bring first of all an idea I will bring back from Georgian, that was basically having a document for bills to sign, the bills passed, so we have better organization and touch between the presidency and the U.S. Senate. Also, I would start a better like editable confirmation hearing schedule to know the exact date and hour, because I was in the Senate and it's pretty messy to know. So one day one can't. If you can't do it, then it's gonna be, you're not going to have much, like, how do I say this? The people are not going to pay attention to you because you didn't come to the hearing at the solicited time. It's not at last second. You cannot say, "Oh, wait, I cannot. I have something else today." No, you can't. Being a little bit more strict, and also there are a lot. And when I say a lot, I really mean a lot. Bills that have been abandoned over there because the BP doesn't break a tie. It often happens. But I promise I will break a tie in anything I will have to, or anyone in that matter. So, okay. Jesus Christ. Okay. So, what I plan. That's what I plan. I will make it. Shut up, Jesus. I will plan to make it more strict. Plan to have more schedules and stuff, and I will plan to be there if the Senate needs me whenever they want me. Thank you.
By the way, you can call me Awa.
So thank you for that question. So I believe the current system in terms of confirmation hearings, in terms of planning them, is that the current majority leader, who is Ivor M, is planning the confirmation hearings and distributing in a document, of course, and distributing the document to the senators so they know exactly when that confirmation hearing is supposed to take place. I like that system, but I would also make sure, and I hope so, if I if it is not already taking place, I hope that it would be shared to the vice president so that they know when the confirmation hearing would take place, and who is being confirmed, who is going through a hearing that day. So I like that system. What I would continue to bring is making sure one thing I would continue from when I was vice president before was making sure that we're documenting Senate sessions. Senate sessions is very important to those members who, are not present to, the Senate session. What I did do when we had a Senate session, you can go look. What I did do is I documented, who was present at the time, what did we discuss, and what I can do, what I would add to that is how long did the session last. That is one thing I would bring back, and one thing that I hope that the current vice president does do, Ryan Service, that he documents every Senate session so that we know who's present, who's not, what was discussed, and what needs to be discussed for future reference and the time and day and all that. That's one thing I would bring back, but I will make sure that the bills thing, I believe the current system also, in terms of bills that need to go to the House and to the Senate and to the President, I believe they have their own community where they have bills that I believe have passed the House or have passed the Senate and the President needs to sign. It's something called Met Congress. I think that's the name of the community. So you can ask your local congressperson or your senator or president, vice president, whoever is in that community about that system, and they could explain it more to you than I could. I also like that system. Why? Because of the fact that it really is reaching out to those senators, those representatives were not who are not seeing the bills. If they're not seeing the bills, they can go look on the Congress page and see the bills that have passed and the bills that need to be signed. And if the president hasn't looked on the House Representatives community or the Senate community, then he can go to the Met Congress community and see what bills he needs to sign or veto. So that's, I like that system. So, bringing reform to the Senate is one of my main things. Making sure that the Senate is in order, making sure, like he said, that the Senate is organized. Because the only thing we do not need is a dysfunctional Senate. And, that starts at the top and works its ways down. So I believe that if the person that's in charge of the Senate starts it, that everyone else in the Senate will catch on.
I would bring back prohibition.
Any rebuttals?
Yes, I have seen the community Met Congress. It's a pretty interesting idea, and I think it's getting used by all congressmen. So that's pretty good. That's a good initiative. I would incentivize it. Have also Met Congress chat, but I like this because it's a post, and it's not a hangout chat you can ignore. If you're the president, for example, they tell you sign this bill. No, it's there. You have the link. You have everything. It's much more detailed. So I like the idea the U.S. Congress MEC community.
Can I just add one thing? What I did do, if the president, particularly at the time when President Carter did not see bills that need to be signed, I did send him the link to the bill. And then, I know a couple other Congress people who were in Congress at the time, they did also the same thing. And I would encourage that to keep it up so that if the president does not see it when he goes on Google Plus, that he can see it, when he's looking at Hangouts, because of course the president sometimes on Hangouts. So that's one thing that I would encourage them to keep doing, is that they're sending the bills to the president directly so that they don't have to go on Google Plus sometimes and look. It's just to give them a reminder, give them a push that hey, this bill has passed both chambers of Congress and needs your signature or, whatever the president decides to do with it.
All right, Mr.
I
Ray.
have a question.
Okay.
I haven't asked one in a while.
All right, but
I'm speaking now, Evan. Are you happy? Are you happy, Evan, that I'm speaking now? Could you please
Evan.
speak?
That went too first.
you may ask a question.
You told me to speak, Evan, alright?
Kick him before he kicks you.
Wait. Do I get to ask a question?
John, you asked one, but he hasn't asked any, so just let him ask one, and then we'll go to you.
Who went first last time? With answering it.
Terrell went first. I would go first this one.
I think.
Okay.
I think Logan's asking the question.
Okay, Andrew. This question goes to you first. What is your opinion on the state of Mexico, Mex healthcare? What's your view on Mex healthcare? And if you don't think the Mex healthcare is doing well, how will you improve it?
Okay, so I personally favor as minimum 2-tier healthcare, but Jackson has promised a Medicare for all system. So that's what we plan to deliver. It's not single payer, actually. It's a public option plan. So that would better everyone's health, of course, because you see Canada, the UK, that have pretty good healthcare system, pretty decent. Everyone can go to the doctor without paying. You can have a low-paying job, whatever, but you can go to the doctor and receive an annual medical check each year, which sounds pretty good, and I like. That's the pro of the system. The con is how you're gonna pay for it. We also are planning on how paying for it. So I think with new, better quality healthcare, Americans will thrive and be more like industrial economies here and Canada, of course.
Mr. McCann.
All right. So the current two-tier healthcare system. I'm pretty neutral on it. But I'm gonna say, you should be able to go to the doctor and receive, especially if you're issued or if you're diagnosed with something that's life-threatening. I believe that you should be able to go to the doctor and get the necessary treatments needed, the life-saving treatments needed. And what families should not have to do, and this is going into really morals and values. What families should not have to go through is worrying about, hey, this person in my family is very ill and they need the life-saving treatment, but hey, we can't afford it because we have to pay this, that, and the other. So that's when we have to come in and play a part. We say, okay, well, here's the thing. We look at other countries, and I hate comparing ourselves to other countries, but we have to do it sometimes because it makes us, it
You're
shows
cutting
us.
out.
Actually,
How about now? Am I cutting out for you, Lampros?
I can hear you, which probably means it's on Lampros' side.
Okay.
This is cutting out.
So when we look at other countries, and I think, oh, Andrew's still here. Okay, he has a Canada hat there. When we look at other countries, really, they have some of the best healthcare in the world, and then they come over to the United States and they say, oh, I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to receive the treatment that I need. Okay, I get the bill back. This is skyrocketing, folks. I'm a firm believer in that if you're able to pay for your healthcare, particularly regarding people at the top, the top 1% and all that, if you're able to pay for your own healthcare, you should be able to do so because we have plenty of people that are not able to pay for their healthcare, um, and yet, they're not receiving a lot of assistance. So, in terms of that, we have to play into the factor that, hey, everyone needs healthcare. I agree with that, but we need to ensure that the people get the necessary healthcare that they need, and they have to, not worry about the price of it. And that's what we need to do. We need to come up with something that ensures that, premiums don't skyrocket. We need to make sure that, they don't worry about the cost because they can make sure that they're guaranteed a cost that's cost efficient and that they're able to pay for. Um, and so going into that, that's where we all go into the all Medicare for all stuff and that. So this, that, and the other. So again, I'm neutral on it. We can, it's room for improvement. But if it's keeping, people intact, then it should continue.
Any rebuttals?
First, I wanted
I
to
have
add
a
something.
follow-up question.
All right, I will add something that personally, I think, in real life, universal healthcare, it's not very affordable. I firmly believe in the Singaporean system, but as long as we could pay for it without having later on fiscal worries about it, it's gonna be good. But I don't know. I saw an article another day saying some things that it's not as good as it seems, though. So I prefer mostly Singaporean healthcare system, which is pretty good. and well, it's ranked one of the best in the world. So I would use that one personally. But if Jackson promised universal healthcare, we're gonna deliver it.
All right.
Can
John,
I ask my question?
after John's follow-up, you may. John. 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 All right, John, you may ask it later. We'll move on to Mr. Rabe's question.
All right. Thank you. So first, before I ask this question, I just want to ask Terrell not to give like a
follow-up question.
Whoa!
What are your
Excuse me,
bases on
excuse
healthcare?
me, excuse me. I'm talking.
Sure. Question.
Excuse me.
Question. What?
John, you may ask your follow-up.
What?
I think you're shorting out.
He is.
John, do you want me to? Do you mind if Logan
You're
goes?
you're cutting out, John.
All right. Can I ask my question?
All right.
Okay. So first thing, I want like short answers from the candidates. I don't want like 10-minute statements. But my question is, some people have began questioning if the separation of Virginia and West Virginia back in the 1860s, if that was unconstitutional. So my question is, if you were elected vice president, do you believe the separation of Virginia and West Virginia was unconstitutional?
Okay, so I guess I go first. That's a joke question, but
Answer it. Just be very quick.
we don't have a constitution in Mech. That's it. Next.
Terrell.
Wait, can I have a follow up? But if we don't have a constitution, doesn't mean everything is constitutional.
Terrell, you may answer his question.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say this. So yeah, we don't have a constitution, Mac. But to your point, Logan, you know, as they've said before, we've not had a constitution in Mech before, and it didn't make it a big thing. So why would we make it a big thing now? But to furthermore say, you know, looking at it, if the people feel it's unconstitutional, you can't think that, oh yeah, I'm going to make sure that Virginia and West Virginia are back into one big state, because why not? Without explanation, without an explanation. In terms of, I don't believe that it's unconstitutional personally, because of the fact that, you know, there had to be 50 states. It was 50 states, and to say it furthermore, that means that, you know, the separation of North Dakota and South Dakota would be deemed unconstitutional also. So, you know, it's not. I would not deem it unconstitutional. It happened, and they know it happened. So that's my answer to that.
Can I ask a follow up?
Wait. I want to say something else. And my Logan and Jackson's slogan is liberty is all right. So we're going to protect the liberty of West Virginians and auto-determination. That's it.
Please do. Please, okay. Mr. Logan Rabe, I'm going to have to ask you to refer to serious questions.
It was a serious question. Like, Brett Kavanaugh is saying that it was unconstitutional. Like, it's actually
a person in Mac. Please ask Mac-related questions. These two men are seeking very high office.
All right. I have a better question.
Fine. Actually, no. I go first, then John, then you. You blew your chance, buddy.
But they still answered it, so technically I didn't blow.
Okay, thank you, Logan, so much for your cooperation. Okay, my question is for both candidates. Now, a big issue in global areas is poaching. In my Senate tenure, I proposed a bill called the Poaching Disrupt Act, which Mr. Dominguez and Mr. McCann both voted against and vocally did not support it. What is your position on poaching? Do you think that because Mr. Dominguez has raised concerns about being the global morality police, do you guys both still hold your beliefs that the U.S. government should not interfere in stopping poaching? Mr. McCann, you may go first.
Well, I'm going to first tell you this. Your bill has to go more into detail because, as I said, I'm going to vote on bills. No.
Mr. McCann, that isn't the question that I asked.
I'm giving you the question, and I'm going to respond to the question. So in terms of your bill, you did bring up the fact, Evan, that we voted against your bill when you were in the Senate. So, of course, I know I'm going to comment on that, and Mr. Dominguez is going to comment on that. So, first off, if the bill goes into more detail, then maybe, we can discuss it. But, when we're focusing on this, we have to look more into it. Poaching, can be a very, important issue depending on the area. If poaching is something, if it happens often in that area, of course, they're not going to say anything about it. But hey, if it's somewhere where poaching does not happen as often and it happens, then of course, the government should address the situation. And that's the thing. We have to become better at addressing situations. And then once you address it, if it continues, then that's when you take action to make sure that it does not happen again. And then that's where the need for the bills and then the debating and all that comes into play a factor. Once we address it, which let's be honest here, not many people mention poaching in MEC. And that's being honest here. Not a lot of people mention it. Why? Because they don't see that it is a very important issue in their eye, and that's the first thing. They feel it's not a very important issue, so they say, "Hey, I'm not going to campaign on poaching because I don't feel that it's a very important issue in my region." So that's what a lot of people think about it in terms of that perspective. So I think that once we address it, we can take steps to then go ahead and try to get rid of it. Now, needless to say, you can stop poaching, but you're not going to be able to stop it completely unless you're going to have government officials watching each and every day. So that's the answer to that.
First of all, I gotta go tweet as soon as possible. So, Evan, you raised up about your bill, your concern. Okay, but you know what, Evan? What does that bill do? Please explain more detail, as Terrell said in the beginning.
Well, basically, what it would do is we would commission a study and basically find out which countries have the highest poaching rates. It was also dispatching a new force called the Poaching Task Force, made up of individuals who are experts in the fields necessary. They would be allocated funding, and their goal was to try to help global nations try to stop poaching.
Okay, so that bill, do you think with job losses, unemployment, trade war, poverty, do you think people will care about poaching and giving money to other nations? I think that concern is overestimated. Sorry, Evan, I know it's your concern, but it's overestimated. And plus, your surname is Hunt.
That's not relevant at all to the question.
I'm gonna have to say
that was a bad joke, but it's not a serious concern to me. But if I could stop poaching, okay, stop poaching, but it's not gonna be serious concern for a lot of people. You should know that. There are people literally lying on the streets, and we have a talk about policing. I don't like that. And also, I gotta go tweet as soon as possible, so we better end this.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna say one final thing before we end the debate. So yeah, to Mr. Dominguez's point, I agree. We have to address the issues at home first, then abroad, because like you said, we have issues here that we have to take care of, and we have to ask ourselves, how often does this happen in the United States? And then that's when you address it. If it's happening in other parts of the country, I mean, not in the country, but in the world, then, the United States has to make sure that they're taking care of themselves, to make sure that they're prospering, then to make sure that, hey, I don't like the way that their government's handling that situation. So I'm going to go to that country and bang on the desk and say, I don't like the way you're handling this situation. No, I'm not going to do that. Why? Because of the fact that I'm more concerned about the issues at home. Right now, the main issues that we always have, than going to a country where, they probably allow poaching, to be completely honest with you.
Any rebuttals to the questions?
I gotta go now. So could I give my closing statement really, really quick?
Sure.
Thanks Terrell for being here. Thanks Evan for moderating it, and thanks John. Thanks John Ossoff too. Thanks for I'm not gonna say thank you to Jacob and Logan. So what I believe here we made today is share our values. I have found in Terrell that we share a lot in policy. This is a good way to keep our democracy, to look at our ideas, look at the problems and the solutions, and how to put America, all of us, back on track. So that will be it really quick. Thanks everyone, and bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, I want to thank Andrew. Andrew's a very great friend of mine. And as you said, we share a lot in common in terms of policy issues. So I thank Andrew for being able to be here to debate. And I just want to furthermore say that I want to thank all of you for watching. You are the people that will be making your voices heard on the day that the general election does happen. And I want you all to remember this. Make sure that you cast your vote for a person that has a plan, a person that has addressed the main issues that face our country. And if you do that, I would be satisfied with whoever you vote for, as long as you're making sure that it's the person who you feel comfortable and not the person who you think, or not the person, or not someone who people pressure you to vote for. You vote for whoever you believe can best handle the job. And if you do that, I'm perfectly fine with who you vote for. But thank you all for watching. God bless you all, and have a good night.
Thank you. And thank you for watching.